Part-2, Chapter-7. The first time Mahabhagavat Das, originally from Ukraine, met Aindra, he was translating for a Russian devotee who was on the verge of leaving ISKCON. Quote, he kept us in the room until almost midnight answering questions and preaching, Mahabhagavat remembered. His preaching was intense, and even though I was translating answers meant for that devotee, I had the impression, the way he was looking at me, that he was aiming for me too. Some months later, when I asked him about the talk, he said that he had been addressing the other devotee's doubts, but that in case the devotee failed to get it, at least I might, though I had not really asked anything myself. I never saw that person again, but the talk was not in vain. When Mahabhagavat asked about acquiring a Govardhan Shila, Aindra said, "This worship is a very serious matter. First, you should worship Gaur-Nitai, then Jagannath. Gain some experience. Then you can approach Krishna. Worship nicely for his pleasure." Hearing that Mahabhagavat had been worshipping Gaur-Nitai in his brahmachari ashram, he said, "I think it would be nice if you got some more experience, and you can also help me. Why don't you come with me onto the altar?" The service would help Mahabhagavat in his personal service and help train him further in Brahminical standards and the proper mood of worship. Only then, when Aindra felt that Mahabhagavat was ready, would he give him a Shalagram Shila that a devotee had brought back from Nepal. And only after Mahabhagavat had been worshipping the Shila for over a year did Aindra give him a Govardhan Shila, which had been abandoned by an American devotee. Aindra had also painted the Shila, as he had those in the care of several other devotees, and so the Shila joined a small family of local Shilas, all of whom bore a common semblance. Entering into Pujari service at the temple was competitive, though. Many devotees, even sannyasis and other senior men, wanted to serve on the altar but could not. And one of the other pujaris objected to Mahabhagavat's presence. If Aindra needed help, the pujari said, he would help him, but this newcomer had to go. But Aindra was insistent. It was a weekend, he pointed out, his days to dress Radhashama Sundar, and he could bring any assistant he wanted. "No way," the pujari said, "he's not coming." And he took it a step further. "Just because you're a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, you think you can do whatever you want. But I am pujari here, and I won't allow it." Aindra explained that he had gotten permission from the department head, but the pujari wouldn't accept it, and the two argued for half an hour. Finally, Aindra had had enough. "Listen, everyone," he proclaimed. "I curse him to fall from his brahmachari position for his insolence." Eventually, the pujari calmed down, and Aindra resumed his service with Mahabhagavat's assistance. But in time, the pujari did change ashrams and lost his place on the altar. For the next year, Aindra trained Mahabhagavat in the service of Radhe Shyam, as he would select a few of his closest, most trusted brahmacharis. Quote, "In his room, he gave us knowledge for developing pure bhakti and taking, at first, small steps on the path of Rag, in the line of the Goswamis of Braj and all the predecessor acharyas," Mahabhagavat recounted. And then on the altar, he gave the best practical training of being Das Das Anudas and using those instructions in practice. To serve Radha and Krishna under someone with that level of love and conviction, watching his mood and interactions with the deities, his relationship with them, nothing was more impressive. As much as we were able to imbibe due to our limitations, he really gave the best devotional training. Aindra taught his trainees to serve the deities in the mood of Radharani's divine maidservants, who, out of pure love, desired nothing but to please her and assist her in her desire to please Krishna. Even when they served him, he said, they did so to please her. Quote, Shastra describes the elevated and pure service of the Sakhas and Sakhis of Braj at the feet of Radha and Krishna, Mahabhagavat noted, and Aindra was the emblem of that mood, absolutely selfless, focused exclusively on pleasing them. He was training us to develop a conscious, eager approach, to actively employ our abilities and intelligence to anticipate anything that might be required for service, to always try to please Krishna, one's guru, and the devotees, not in a mechanical way, but with a loving service attitude. When one morning I couldn't apply the deities oil before their bath because the metal cupboard containing the oils and other paraphernalia hadn't been unlocked, he chastised me playfully. You have to anticipate this and bring oil with you. You have to be a smart little Manjari. What I really saw, Mahabhagavat said, was the incredible intensity of his life. He was very intense himself with his sadhana and his preaching, trying to offer Radha Shyamasundar the best and purest possible service, and he demanded the same from those he taught. It was kind of hard and at the same time extremely uplifting, and it created a lasting and deep impression of devotion on one's heart. Krishna was challenging him from all sides to test his devotion, his character, whether he would be disturbed by the constant onslaughts, but he would get upset only when it disturbed the atmosphere of worship that Srila Prabhupada had taught, especially on the altar, since that could spoil Krishna's pleasure. Vrindavan is meant for the highest, purest, most self-sacrificing expressions of devotion, and Aindra Prabhu would fight against anything opposed to that mood and demonstrate his own fixed dedication to serve and try to please Krishna, no matter the circumstances. I understood that he was generously, without ego, sharing this most sublime service on the altar. Undressing and bathing the deities each morning was a very intimate service, and he wanted us to have that experience too, to have the opportunity to develop the same loving affection for them that he had. He was genuinely happy to bring other living entities to the feet of his beloved lords, the same mood he showed in his preaching and kirtans. Over the years, Aindra was assisted by several pujaris who would go onto the altar when the doors were closed after the Sankirtan scores were read, remove the small deities, place them on a table where they would receive their seva puja, take all the pins from Radha Shyamasundars' clothes and straighten any that had been bent, and undress them. Then they would massage the deities with oil, bathe them with a wet towel, dry them, put on their day dress, ankle bracelets and toe rings, arrange matching ornaments and decorations, and be prepared for Aindra's arrival. After a while, Mahabhagavat recounted, we learned what he preferred and made it ready for him, small pins on one side of the cushion, big ones on the other, each item in accordance with the particular color and type of dress for the day, and placed in the order that Aindra Prabhu would apply it. Everything was cleaned, untangled, ready. Especially on the Saturdays, Sundays, and festival days, he wanted lots of flowers, good ones, to make Krishna happy. The deities really want them, he would say. Especially in Vrindavan, Krishna must have fresh, nice, wonderful flowers. There were still many growing in front of the temple back then, and tall trees with big branches of these little yellow flowers, sweet like honey. Whether in the blazing heat of May or the damp chill of December, Aindra would send devotees out to dozens of locations he had scouted throughout Vrindavan to pick different flowers, some rare or hard to find, chosen for their variations of form, color, and fragrance to complement the time of year and the deities' different moods and outfits. Flowers from the Dham, he knew, would be especially pleasing to them, and in the early days of the 24-hour kirtan, before Vrindavan's paths were paved and lined with new construction, there were seemingly endless varieties. So we would climb up the trees to get them. There were these big orange trumpet flowers that Aindra loved, and different colors of what he called fleaves, bougainvillea, flowers that looked like colored leaves. Different seasons, different flowers. There were trees and flowers everywhere. Aindra was exacting about both the flowers and how they were used, and, as in all of his worship, he was never arbitrary in his requests. His motivation was always to please the deities, and his reasoning always came from Shastra. Govindadasi remembered, he wanted things done in a particular way and requested us to make Radharani's garland long so that it would touch her feet. Sometimes devotees complained, "Why are you making such a long garland?" So one day I went to Aindra Prabhu and asked, "People are complaining that the garland is too long." And right there on the spot, he gave me a whole hour-long class describing how Rupa Goswami says that Srimati Radharani actually has 3 garlands. One extended garland that's touching her feet, one of medium size, and one smaller, delicate garland. Anyway, he said, she deserves to have the garland extending to her feet. Why not? Since then, we started to make 3 garlands for Radharani, and I feel very confident that when people ask or complain, I can tell them that Aindra Prabhu said she deserves to have her garland touching her feet. He was also expecting that the garlands should be gorgeous and fresh, so I would go early in the morning, sometimes in the dark, and climb trees to get special flowers and make sure to pick the best ones. I would climb the champa tree to get the flowers and then make the garland beautiful and special so that Aindra Prabhu could offer the best possible to Sri Sri Radha Shyamasundar. Then, when the altar curtains would open and I would see 2 beautiful champas on Shyamasundar's head and flowers in Radharani's hair, I felt that this was the perfection of my life. He was like a guru teaching me how to worship Sri Radha Shyamasundar. Aindra's close attention to every aspect of deity worship, no matter how minute, added to the challenge for those training under him. "Dress for the camera," he told Giridhari Das from New York, who had joined in the Berkeley, California temple. "It catches every detail." One morning, after dressing Radhe Shyam together in Rajasthani dress with a yellow border, Aindra and Giridhari stood in the temple room and surveyed their work. "Look how you pinned the dress," Aindra told Giridhari. "It's how you like it, no?" Giridhari asked. "No," Aindra replied. "Look, you don't see it? How the pinhead is sticking out from Radharani's dress." Even from 15 feet away, he had spotted a yellow pinhead sticking out a few millimeters from the yellow cloth. As with his kirtan crew, in his desire to inspire and instruct his trainees, to help them develop into expert pujaris, Aindra would challenge and confront them, sometimes strongly. "He was so heavy with me," Mahabhagavat recalled. "What are you doing?" he would chastise me. "This is Krishna, don't you understand? This is Krishna, this is Radharani. This is no joke, no time to be playing around. This is them. I give you the chance to serve them, but are you worth this chance or not?" He would get especially upset if I accidentally poked Krishna or did something that would cause him pain or make him unhappy. He chastised me again and again, demanding perfection. Sometimes I was almost crying on the altar, but I knew that in his heart he was trying to train me, and I was happy just to assist him. It was an amazing, blissful experience. Being on the altar with him was really like coming into the spiritual world, super wonderful, like nothing I've ever seen or done. Not everyone appreciated Aindra's critiques. Quote, "To criticize or praise someone in front of the deities is an offense," one temple pujari reproached him. But Mukunda Datta, defending Aindra, cited Srila Prabhupada shouting at devotees while the deities were being installed in London and Amsterdam because they had not been doing things properly. Another pujari trained by Aindra was Anada, also from Ukraine. While he was dressing Lalita and Vishaka on Sri Sri Radhashyamasundara's altar, he would observe Aindra dressing Radhe Shyam and try to glean what he could. And Aindra, noting Anada's interest and eagerness to learn, started instructing him. While Aindra was doing his dressing, Anada would take photos and videos, zooming in to see how exactly Aindra twisted a length of Radharani's dress, or where he would pin it, and later in his room he would review the photos and recordings to analyze what Aindra had done. Anada progressed quickly, and before long, when assisting Aindra, he knew what to give Aindra even before Aindra asked. Quote, he knew every single thing, every single ornament that Aindra favored, Giridhari remembered. This is the mentality of the Manjaris. They don't need to be asked. They know what Radha and Krishna need right now. He knew that Aindra liked to use one particular set of earrings, one necklace or another. Look, Prabhu, this new one matches very nicely. And somehow he always knew Aindra's mind. Aindra appreciated Anada's seva so much, Giridhari saw, because he had this desire to understand Aindra's mind, what he needed. One day, admiring their lordships after Anada had dressed them, Aindra said, actually, I think he is dressing them now better than I am. One of the most important qualities of the pujaris whom Aindra trained was how they worked together. In the spiritual world, there's no question of envy, he told them. Radharani's maidservants expressed appreciation for each other's service, cooperated to maximize her transcendental pleasure, and never put each other down. That was the real mood, Giridhari said, that you appreciated the others so much. Wow, how much pleasure you gave to Radha. Let me try also. In that sense, we could behave like Das Das Anudas, servants of the servant. If Anada would say, bring this particular necklace, I would run downstairs and bring it. In this mood, we could imagine how the divine couple's eternal servants feel, how they behave without having to be asked, and when asked, immediately bring, have it clean, have it ready, take everything so that he can do his worship. As soon as he would say, I need a flower like this, a helper would be standing there with a tray of flowers. Look, we picked these, the red ones that match the dress. Aindra appreciated that so much, how we were all helping each other, not saying, today's my day for dressing, why are you here? It wasn't like that. Whoever was there, whoever was ready to do it, whoever was most qualified, we let him do it. Even Aindra, if he came late and knew that Anada was faster and was good, would say, okay, you dress Radharani today. Giridhari, bring the ornaments. And there was never a problem.